Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing today? My name is James. I'm here today to discuss the world of RC Outlaws start. During the quarantine, I decided why not start a division where we all can have some fun and race. All right. First off, I wanted to discuss why I want to do this. Because I want a division that everybody can enjoy and 95% cash paybacks, which means you put in the entry fee and you will, if you win, you can get some cash back. We will be using rules because I have noticed that some people have asked me, what would you do if someone crashed someone out on purpose because it was a money race? I will explain that. First off, if you crash out an opponent on an A main, B main, or in a qualifier because there's cash on the line, you will be out of the race, period. You will lose your entry fee and you will be excluded from the race. And if we have 3 races or 4 races at first, I'm trying to just do 3 tracks. But if you wreck someone out, you will not be allowed to race the next race on the series and all that. So let's go over a couple of rules I got. The race lengths I'm planning on. We're planning on doing electric and fuel, nitro. All right. At this time, we're going to do off-road, electric, and nitro. Here in the future, I'm hoping to get some help and get started with the electric on-road, oval, and get through all that courses. The race lengths specified for each class are mandatory for level 3 or 5 events. At lower level races, the race length is optional but must be announced in advance. The race lengths will be as followed. 1/10 electric off-road. Qualifiers will be 6 minutes. Race lengths, A mains, will be 6 minutes. And anything other than the mains will be 6 minutes. So 6 minutes across the whole board for electric off-road, 10th scale. 1/10 scale fuel on-road would be race length. Qualifiers would be 10 to 15 minutes. Your A main will be anywhere between 45 and 60 minutes. And your B mains will be anywhere from 15 to 25 minutes for your B main, for your 1/10 scale off-road fuel. It'll go the same for the 8th scale fuel off-road and 8th scale, 10th scale, and that. The vehicle rules, vehicle batteries must be securely mounted. We recommend limited radio receiver battery pack in all vehicles to 6 volts. This is usually accomplished by use of 5 cell or 4 alkaline cells, slightly higher voltages. May be used by direct receiver power, but this can result in an increased vehicle's risk of receiver failure, which we don't want. Okay, the use of traction control sensing devices, active suspension devices, steering control aided by gyroscopes or accelerometers, G-force sensors of any kind will be strictly prohibited. Sensors may be used for the purpose of passive data recording, but not for adjusting performance on the vehicle while the vehicle is in motion. No rollover antennas are allowed unless noted in the class rules. Your class will be your 2-wheel drive, where the power is transmitted to the rear wheels only, and four-wheel drive, where the power is transmitted to all four wheels. Vehicles that are driven by front wheels only are classified as four-wheel drive vehicles. Okay, there's many types of power. Vehicles may be powered by electric or fuel. Electric motors are classified by wind of the motor. For example, never mind. They don't apply to this one. I'm just coming up writing down a bunch of things in my head. Track surfaces. Authorized surfaces include carpet, dirt, and pavement for your off-road and your prep. You can, for the on-road and off-road, it can be carpet, it could be asphalt for your off-road, it could be any type of surfaces. All right. When a novice or beginner categories are run, the following rules will be applied. The definitions used to determine the beginner and the novice must be clearly stated. Novice, if you run a 19 on your local track, you're not going to be a novice. It's for beginners only. Drivers entered in the novice or beginner category may not enter other classes in other categories, but may enter multiple classes within their category. So if we have a 10th scale electric novice, 8th scale electric novice, 10th scale nitro novice, and an 8th scale nitro novice, you can enter into that class, but you can't enter into different classes. Each vehicle will be required to pass a pre-event technical inspection before being allowed to complete, and post-race inspection. If your vehicles are found to be illegal during a post-race inspection, you will be disqualified from that race. Even have an overcharged lithium battery will also be disqualified from that round. Technical inspections include, but are not limited to, checking the vehicle's height, length, width, and minimum weight with personal or handout transponders. No parts on the car other than the spur gear and tires may be less than the minimum ground clearance for a specific class. During the width measurements, vehicles must roll freely in the tech box at ride height. This will be verified by lifting the rear of the box to 45-degree angle above horizontal, and the car must roll forward under its own weight. Marshals. How are we going to do with the marshals? All right. Drivers must marshal for their designated race and be in position by the 1 minute call to race. Qualified members may substitute with the approval of the race director. Drivers who bump up are not required to marshal if their previous main contained at least 12 drivers. Turn marshals are not permitted to repair vehicles. Marshals will take the disabled vehicle to the closest outer edge of the racetrack as soon as possible. If a vehicle tears up during the race and we see it, you will have 2 minutes to fix the car and get back out. The race will be paused. They will make slow laps around. All cars will come to rest in the pit box, the pit lane, and you can only fuel in the pit when this happens. You can only fuel when this happens. Marshals for a 5th scale class can be a pit crew member. No one marshals or otherwise may enter the racetrack area until a yellowed condition is called and all vehicles slowed to a controlled pace. Turn marshals at level 4 and 5 events are required to wear the provided safety vest at all times while marshaling. Qualifying rules. A driver's official time will be the total laps completed by his vehicle and the total time elapsed from the starting time as determined by the method of qualifying. Until the vehicle crosses the finish line on the final lap, if the final lap is not completed, the driver will be credited with the number of full laps finished and the time for those. A driver who completes 20 laps in 3:50 beats a driver 20 laps at 4:02 in the same round. When IFMAR qualifying is used, each vehicle is running against its own clock and not against the other vehicles. The vehicles will be started individually or rows of 2 or 3 if the lap times are short. Qualifying positions for any one round will be determined based on the laps times. Qualifying for the mains will be at the discretion of the race director. Way I plan it is we all run 2 warm-up laps. 1 warm-up lap, then 2 qualifying laps in certain divisions. And that'll be your starting position in your heat race. The winner of each class will be the driver in A main who finishes the most laps in the most least elapsed time, and whose vehicle is found to be legal on the post-race inspection. A triple A main system will be used at an electric level. Vehicles may not be pushed across the finish lines. Vehicles must cross the line under their own power. In fuel classes, cars are not allowed to be restarted once the master clock has expired. For purposes of qualifying and racing, the driver is scored and not the vehicle. Starting for electric races. The starting grid should be on the longest straightaway and far from the first corner to allow vehicles under control before reaching it. The grid should be in a staggered pattern of 2 or 3 vehicles per row and 3 to 4.5 feet between vehicles from front to rear. For full field starts, all vehicles should start on the computer tone. A grace period before the start of the race may be allowed and at the discretion of the race director. Nitro starting. For qualifying racing, it's recommended that starts be used with the vehicle starting at 1 or 2 second intervals from the staging area as the pit lane. If we do a rolling start, then the vehicles may fuel and proceed towards the loop anytime once the timing loop is announced as hot. Okay, guys, frequency conflicts. Sometimes the remotes have frequency conflicts with some other frequencies. In case of a frequency conflict, the highest qualified driver will have the first choice of frequency. Second highest qualifying driver will have a second choice. There are 7 drivers on 27 megahertz in a main event. The slowest driver will have to change to an approved channel in the 75 megahertz range. But that's what I would like to do. We're working on getting some tracks in the Missouri area and hopefully expand to Illinois for a 3 fall race series. The plan for these 3 fall race series will go as follows. $20 each race. Okay? $20 each race, you'll be entered. The money will go into a pot. We race, and we go by points. Then we move to the next track, $20 to enter. Then that will go into the pot on top of that. Then the third and final race will be a $20, and it'll go on top of that. Then during the A mains, we will pay out the top 7 drivers in the A main. But I'm still working on that payout schedule. Anybody that wants to help can click on the link below and leave a comment if they would like to help found or help make this series big and better. And hopefully we can take on Roar one day, be a big competitor to Roar, or work side by side with Roar and do a big event, World of RC Outlaws, and Roar events. A black flag. There is black flags in this event. A black flag will be given to drivers whose driving vehicle operation or performance constitutes a hazard to other vehicles in this race. This includes insignificant skills to complete in the class, unsportsmanlike driving, and intentional hitting of other vehicles, and intentional short coursing, intentional corner cutting, blocking, and improper vehicle numbers and other such acts. When a driver is given the black flag, it means the driver must pull his or vehicle off the track immediately. The driver will remain on the driver's stand until the heat is over. A black flag ruling may be appealed at the track. And we will go over the video footage. Any vehicle that loses its body or that cannot be controlled properly due to radio problems, race damage, or missing parts will be black flagged. Disqualification. This is something that I will want to work on per races, because I think it's harsh, but sometimes when you do a cash race, it's even harsher to the person who fought their way up to get in this cash race than get knocked out by another driver unintentionally. That's what the black flag, but the disqualification will be failure to comply with these rules, not limited to items covered in this section, may result in a disqualification. Disqualification be for a single class or for an entire event. Disqualification means that the driver will not be allowed to race or continue racing at this event. Any driver who is disqualified for an entire event may be required to leave the racing facility. There will be no refund of entry fees to a disqualified driver, unless otherwise noted by the race director or any of the staff of the World RC Outlaws staff, or the track owner can make that decision. If the track owner or any of the staff thinks that the driver should get his refund back, and we'll do that. Any of the following actions on the part of the driver member or his crew will result in a mandatory disqualification. Using other than an authorized FCC frequency. Not taking a vehicle or a radio to the inspection area when directed to do so. Operating a vehicle near the track that can endanger others in the area. Drinking intoxicating beverages, illegal substances, or being under the influence of an intoxicating or illegal substance in the pits or race area. There will be an exception to the I know people have been asking, what's the exception to the medical marijuana, if they have a medical card? If you have a medical card, if you have a medical marijuana card, then you should be all right. It's for people who don't have the medical marijuana card, or if we race in a state where there's recreational marijuana, where it's recreational and medical, then the rules does not apply, because that's going against the state law, which we don't want, because that will bring in a lawsuit. Protest demonstration. Taking part in a protest in the pits, on the track, in the surrounding area before, during, or after a race is prohibited. Entering restricted areas or event scoring areas without proper authorization is a disqualification. Assaulting another individual, this will also result in a suspension. Turning on a radio during a race to affect another driver's vehicle, that will definitely get you kicked out of the race. Using the engine motor part of a vehicle that does not comply with the rules, having a transmitter in the race or pit area without permission, allowing another individual to substitute for them in a race. In this case, both drivers may be subjected to disqualification. Deliberate abusive nerfing, bumping, or blocking. And not submitting your vehicle for technical inspection is also for disqualification. Tire compounds, tire chemicals will be at the discretion of the track owner. If the track owner says tire cleaning or traction chemicals or compounds can be used at the track, then it can. If the track owner says no, then we will not, it will be banned for that event. Also, if you failure to abide by all the lithium battery technology charge and discharge rules, you can be disqualified. At this time, there's no penalties. A jump start, okay? There will be times where people can claim a jump start. If you believe that there's a jump start at the finish or the start line, do not move your car. If you think that the start was jumped, park your car in the first turn, and the race will come to a stop until we can figure out that. A jump start is any movement of the vehicle between the time the starter announces the start time and the starting signal. If one or more vehicle jump starts, a false start will be declared, and you can protest that. If we don't see it and you do see a jump start, you can protest that by stopping in the middle of the track, and we will look into the video. Corner cutting or shortcuts. Corner cutting or short coursing is any deliberate or accident maneuver that shortens the length of the course for a vehicle traveling around the track. For each incident, cutting a marked corner will incur a 10-second penalty, and short coursing will incur a 1-lap penalty. Okay, if a driver stops his vehicles in the area of the corner cutting infraction and allows the vehicle that was immediately behind him when the corner was cut past, no penalty will be applied. So, here's the actions that I'm planning on. Improper re-entry to the racing service will be a 10-second penalty. Corner cutting, a 10-second penalty. Short coursing, a 1-lap penalty for each incident. Refueling in pit lane or on the racing service will be stop and go penalty. Driving on the opposite direction of the track, 1-lap penalty. Failure to turn marshal. Okay, failure to marshal a turn can result in a 1-lap penalty from the best qualifier. Failure to reduce the throttle while in the hands of a marshal. That could hurt a marshal's hand if you do not do that. That will be a 20-second penalty. Repairing a car while you're a turn marshaling will result in a 2-lap penalty. Failure to respond to a race official's request will be a 1-lap penalty. Protests may be submitted against vehicle parts or vehicles, technical issues, results, race procedures, policies, or decisions. We welcome that. Protests considered by the race to be frivolous or unsportsmanlike will not be accepted. Protests may only be submitted by drivers properly entered in an event which the subject is subject to protest. So protests must be accompanied by a $5 fee per item protested. Vehicle or technical protest involving a particular main event may only be submitted by another driver in the same event. Main. Any engine or motor that is protested may only be torn down for internal at the end of the event. The engine or motor will be marked at the time of protest in such manner that it can be identified at the end of the event. A driver who protests lodged against his vehicle or any part therefore is required to make the vehicle available for inspection. Failure to do so will result in disqualification. Okay. Those to attend the inspection will be as filed where relevant. The protester, the protested driver, the driver's mechanic, the technical inspector, and the race director, and the track owner. So there's a lot to do. A lot to do to plan. I still got to go talk to a couple tracks when this coronavirus is over. I'm going to talk to a couple about just renting a track and doing an event. But we're going to try this out and see how good it is. But we'll get it going, guys. It'll take us some time, but I think we'll get it going. But as of right now, the plan is to start little, then grow into a big racing series. I hope that we can get through this coronavirus so I can start talking to track officials and track people. So that's all I got for right now. Hit that like button. Leave any comments in the portions below. And you have a wonderful day, and we'll the website will be worldrcoutlaws.com. As soon as I get it created, it will be live. So, guys, keep it straight, keep it slow, and let's get through this coronavirus and get back to racing, y'all.